elegance and grace only at Bangers and Ash. Oh no.
Who's hungry?
Hello food eaters and welcome to this episode of Bangers and Ash, where we today are in front of Summerstar, which is a local stable or little farm near my house. And the reason we're here is because this episode is all about goats, more specifically their milk, and even more specifically the cheese you can make from that milk. We're going to be making two different types of goat cheeses, one creamy and sort of chevre-like, and one much more traditional Norwegian one, which is also known as brown cheese. But before we get to that, we need to obtain said produce from the goats. So the farmer here, Svein Olav, has been so kind to let me come and milk some myself, which is something I've not done in a few years, but have surprisingly quite a lot of experience in it. So we're going to go do that first. Let's get to it. The lovely animals producing lovely milk, don't you? It's nice to be back in the goats barn. Hello, how are you? And for the freshest milk you could ever imagine, all you need to do is that. Still nice and warm. Or tickled. Takes a bit of time to do it this way, so they've got these nice milking robots here that does it in no time at all in comparison. But I like to keep things traditional, so here we are. So, when you've acquired your goat's milk, you can start making cheese. And the good thing, or bad thing, depending on how you see it, when you want to make brown cheese, is that you need whey. And to get whey, you need to make another cheese fast, which is why we're making the soft chevre style goat's cheese. And that is really easy. All you need to do is heat up milk to 85 degrees Celsius and add some citric acid that we got here and a couple of other bits and bobs that we'll talk about later. But what you need to do first is just turn your hob on and then pour your milk in the pan. Roughly, the yield for goat cheese is roughly 200 grams per cheese per 2 liters of milk. We're using about 4.5 here, so we're going to have quite a lot. But yeah, just pour all this delicious produce in, and then around 125 milliliters of water per 2 liters of milk, and you want 1 tablespoon per portion of that. So we're going to use around 3 teaspoons, my apologies. Just stir that in and pour it in the rest of the milk. This process is very similar to when you make cream cheese, which is just heat milk, bring it to a boil, and then add some citric acid or lemon juice. then you see that curds form. But with goat cheese, the curds are going to be much smaller than with cow's milk because of the difference in proteins. So you might hardly see them. And when this starts to heat up, you want to stir continuously so you don't get any milk caught in the bottom. Hitting 17 degrees. There's quite a while to go. That's all right. Making cheese is fun because what follows it is eating cheese. Whoever doesn't like to eat cheese is a freak or lactose intolerant, and that's okay. So as you can see, we are approaching 30 degrees rapidly, and once it starts to heat up, you want to turn down the heat a bit because you want to heat this gently. La 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 la. Right, so now we've hit around 60 degrees, and right there you can see a teeny tiny little curds have formed, which is a great sign, because without curds we won't get any cheese. But yeah, still 25 degrees to go. Now, if you are into cooking, then I would wholeheartedly recommend that you try cheese making, because, well, the reason I like it so much is because it's one of the best examples of a sort of complete transformation of ingredients from the famously liquid milk to the normally more solid cheese. It's great. Now we've finally hit the magical number, 85 degrees, then just kill the heat and take off the hob, and then you want to let that sit so curds can form for around 10 to 15 minutes. We're just going to cover it with the kitchen towels. Right, so now that this is cooled down or rested, whatever you want to call it, for around 15 minutes, you can see that there are some curds here, but as I said earlier, they are very small, so you don't really know if you've done this right until you try to drain it. But yeah, you can see something's changed here. The white bits there you can see, that's the curds, and sort of more yellowy, more beigey, watery stuff is the whey. And now we want to pop this over here, and then we want to drain it into this sieve. Ideally you want a cheesecloth, but you don't have a cheesecloth, so we've got a squeaky clean kitchen towel. That will do the job as well to drain it. And just very gently pour it in here. Just let that drain for a bit. So as you can see, this is not the fastest draining in the world. So it looks like we're going to be here a while. So while this bad boy is draining, we can get started preparing what we're going to serve this on and with, which is the Norwegian potato wrap that is lumper, but we're going to try something new here and use sweet potato instead of potato, and I have no idea how this will go. But we'll see. The worst thing that can happen is failure. And then alongside the cheese, I also want some jam. And what better jam than chili jam? I don't know. So, for the chili jam, all you need is peppers, chili, ginger, garlic, white wine vinegar, sugar, and chopped tomatoes. And what you want to do is you just want to blend all the fruits and vegetables together, because peppers and chilies are actually fruit. Who knew? So just chop these. I mean, normally I'd use a food processor, but we don't have that sorts of modern day equipment here. We only got a blender, so we'll blend it, and that's fine. For the peppers, you don't really want the seeds in it, so try and avoid that. But for the chilies, if you want it spicy, then you can include the seeds in the jam. I like to do that because I like it hot and spicy. And you just dump all the chilies in there, seeds and everything, as I said. 2 cloves, and just hack them. They should become a lot easier to peel. Okay, you can just drop them in whole. Then peel some ginger. And just coarsely chop that. And it goes. And we'll just pour in the vinegar as well, so the blenders get some liquid to work with. Use about around 125 mils. That. Then roughly half a can of chopped tomatoes of the highest quality you can find. Full to the brim. There you go. That should be smooth. Then you just pour this into the saucepan. Get as much of that good stuff in it as possible. And then add your sugar. I use around 175 grams. As with everything else, you just need to figure out how sweet you like it or not, and sugar accordingly, or sweeten accordingly. And just stir this in. Bring that to a boil and turn down, and just let it simmer until you reach your desired consistency. The only thing you need to do is to stir every now and then as you'll see very soon, is that you'll get sort of frothy stuff coming to the top, and you just want to skim that off and put it into a bowl, because that's not as pleasant. But apart from that, that can just do its own thing, and we can make the lumper. Okay, and now for the lumper, what you need to do is mash some. We've already boiled this sweet potato, but mash that together. So as I said earlier, normally you would use normal potatoes for this, but the rest of the steps are the same. I'm using around 750 grams of sweet potato and around 130 grams of flour. This is a mix of coarse rye flour and normal white flour. Around 2/3 white flour and 1/3 rye. And a teaspoon of salt. And these are really, really easy to make and absolutely delicious. I eat them a lot when I'm in Norway, and yeah, absolutely love them. But very intrigued to see what they'll be like with sweet potato instead of potato. And just add the flour. And mix in. I think we might need some more flour for this. Maybe that's the difference between potato and sweet potato. I don't know. But if these work, all credit goes to my executive producer and camerawoman, Misha, we need even more flour. Oh, this is turning into a really sticky affair. Right, let's try it. I think I'm going to flour these on both sides. Oh, they are hyper sticky. So be very liberal with your flour if you want to do this. The pattern. Oh, oh no. This is not going very well. Okay, we fold and try again. I think I'm just going to chuck it on right now. Normally they are thinner, but these feel so fragile that I don't want to take any chances. Should maybe even oil the surface a little bit, but that's too late now. So I think, based on nothing but gut feeling, that we should oil the tucker a bit. Oh, but it's slanted, it's gonna drip off. As always, elegance and grace only a Bangers and Ash. Oh no. Yeah, feels about right. Looks unsurprisingly orange. Oh yeah. I am so curious, I won't let that rest for long until I try it. That'll do. Very nice. Tastes quite, I mean it tastes like lumper with a hint of sweet potato. Right. Now the chili jam looks pretty set. I'm happy with the consistency. So just gonna plop that there. Straight in there. So you can see it's nice and thick. And hopefully delicious. Well, that's not as much as I thought. What a depressing jar of jam that is. But it's delicious though, so it's alright. So this was cooking for around probably 2 hours or so, something like that. But yeah, you just need to monitor it and then stir it and then see when you get as thick as you like. Right, finally we can turn our attention back to the main attraction of today, the goat cheese. And as you can see now, the curds have finally drained the whey. It's in here and here. I had to set up a few different drainage stations because frankly it was just taking too much time. So it's quite a slow process, so don't make goat cheese if you're in a hurry. That's my tip to you. Put the whey away, and here we got all the little curd packets. So you can see, lovely, and this is practically cheese. You just need to mix it together. And I think I've got a small one here. So we'll just add these two together so they get a nice big. And add some salt. This is cheese salt, which I don't know what the difference between that and normal fine table salt is, but I will mix it together and then I will try and roll it into the characteristic log of goat cheese. Might even be a tub job rather than a log job. We'll see. It's delicious though. unsure about the presentation. The flavour is spot on. And then just add some herbes de Provence. Some fresh chives. And then I think we are ready to try and assemble a lumper. Start with some chili jam. And some cheese. It's definitely a very creamy number, this. I don't know if a cheesecloth would have made a difference instead of a kitchen towel, but hopefully it doesn't impact the flavour. That is a damn good bite. The creaminess lends itself very nicely to the spice from the chili jam, and yeah, the lumper is the perfect wrapper for it. So I'd recommend this. And now the gates of heaven are opened, so I think we'll pack up, head inside, and get started on the brown cheese. Hello, welcome inside. We are home dry, and before we get started on the brown cheese, just wanted to show you the second batch of the creamy goat cheese that turned out much nicer and firmer and rolled nicely into the desired log, as you can see here. So yeah, I don't know what the reason for that was. Maybe it just drained a bit better. I used a jam funnel to drain some of it, and I think that yielded the best results, the most drainage. So yeah, maybe wider mesh is what you want when you drain it, bar the cheesecloth. But anyway, on to the brown cheese. What you need here is really simple. You just need the whey, the fattiest cream you can get. That's just cow's cream. And of course, the goat's milk. And all you need to do is just add the ingredients into a heavy bottomed pan like this. Ideally iron. Traditionally it was made with iron. So brown cheese was very rich in iron. But when they stopped making them in iron pans, then they had to add iron after it was made. Add all the ingredients to the pan, and you want to boil that for hours. All that's happening when you're making brown cheese is that you get rid of all the water and you reduce it down to a solid mass that gets nice and brown because of the caramelizations of the sugars in the milk that happens when you do it. So it's a very sweet, quite caramelly cheese, got a very unique flavour, but it's an absolute staple here in Norway, so it seemed appropriate to make that. Just make sure you stir it regular intervals and control the temperature because you don't want it to burn. And now we are approaching 90 degrees and milk boils at 100.5 degrees. I don't know if there's any difference for this mixture, but we're going to start to turn the hob down because we don't want it to burn. So just slow and steady now. As you can see here, see that's the amount that has been reduced so far. It's been boiling for around an hour and a bit. So we're making progress, but it's quite slow. As we can see here, the mixture is starting to get a bit browner, or beiger still, I guess, but that is caramelization happening. Now we see that you reach sort of porridge-like consistency. Now from here on in we need to stir pretty much continuously because it's easier for it to burn when it's coming towards the end. But So hopefully we've stirred this sufficiently to avoid the caramelization in big lumps, but it's gotten a lot firmer now and cooled down quite a lot, so we're going to transfer it into our mold. So we get a nice block of cheese. Just make sure to pack it down. Now that's cooled down, let's give this a taste and see whether we've been successful flavour-wise. We have. That is undeniably brown cheese. I'm very happy with that, and I'm just excited to see whether the texture will be right and whether it will succeed in the all-important cheese slicing test. And just to avoid any sort of unwanted effects of air, we're just going to pat down some cling film on it so there's as little air in it as possible. Then just pop on the lid, if that can fit. There we go. And then leave it to cool for a few hours. And while that cools, we'll make the accoutrements, some waffles and some strawberry jam. So, to make the waffles, you need some flour, plain white, some vanilla sugar, some normal sugar, some baking powder, some cardamom, that's your dry ingredients, and you need some melted butter, some goat's milk, of course, and 3 eggs. And you start by just mixing the dry ingredients together. And I must specify that this is Norwegian waffles, not Belgian. And these are, in my humble and biased opinion, far superior to their Beneluxian counterparts. But there's 4 deciliters of flour, that's 4/10 of a litre, or 400 millilitres. 1 teaspoon of baking powder, about 1 teaspoon of ground cardamom. But if you get a bit more, that's not a problem, because cardamom is delicious. We'll do 3 sort of small tablespoons of normal sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla sugar. But then you just mix all the dry ingredients together. Slowly add the butter. At least slowly pour it in. Crack in your 3 eggs. See if we can make a one-handed crack happen. Try again. Oh. 2 out of 2. Whoa. Oh no. Messed it up on the 2-handed crack and almost squirted egg whites all over myself. And then stir these in. See, this is nice. And then gradually add the milk. Just stir that in so it all gets mixed together into one nice homogeneous batter. Here we go, a nice liquid batter. And then you want to just put this aside, probably cover it and put it in the fridge for about half an hour. And in the meantime, you can join me in the strawberry fields. So here we have some relatively fruitful strawberry bushes. Plants, bushes, what do you call the vegetation that strawberries grow on? let me know in the comments below. It's very hard to pick strawberries without sampling some instantly. There's some darn good berries. And when you have picked your desired quantity of strawberries, all you need to do is separate the berry from the stalks. And once you're done with that, all you need to do is sugar it. This is the, dare I say it, the easiest jam to make in the world, because it's just berries, sugar, mushed together, and it's absolutely delicious. Don't need a lot of sugar. 1.5 of these, not quite tablespoons, will do. Then you just mash them all together. Oh, I see a naughty stalk. Like so. Look at that beautiful colour. All that needs done is tasting for sweetness. Yeah, that's nice. So once that's done, all that's left to do is to cook the waffles. And I also think the brown cheese is now set for long enough and is fairly ready to be sampled. I'm very excited to see whether that was successful or not. Now, the waffle batter has rested and we can pop it on this little bad boy of a waffle iron. Just grease that quickly. With the characteristic smoothness and elegance they always get on this channel. Just make sure to get both sides because you don't want a waffle that's stuck. That's heartbreaking. And then you just ladle up, pop it over until this is nice and full. This would be better if it was on an actual even surface rather than this wonky table, because now it's leaking everywhere. I need a cleaning implement and a leveler. The smell is right, and the execution, you can't really say anything on that, can you? Whoa, cool. So we've got exactly what I said we didn't want, a waffle stuck to the iron, but it looks all right. And we're just going to build it up with this Glasgow University alumni magazine, Avenue. I'm not sponsored. Well, you're not doing it right if you don't mess up the first waffle anyway, so this is going exactly according to plan. But we'll try again. Maybe with a bit less batter. Go a bit more, so fill it up, get nice and thick. And then this is probably going to happen again. Yep. It happened again. I have no idea what I'm doing, do I? Anyway. Ah, we forgot to bloody butter it as well. Might have a right mess on our hands here. Delicious though. And meanwhile that storming success is taking care of itself over there. It's time for the defining moment. That is the unboxing of the brown cheese. Feels very firm. Let's see if we can just pull that out. Oh, we can. That's satisfying. It was satisfying. Ah, yes. Okay. Undeniably a block. So as long as it's cheese, you've achieved a goal. And this is the most important test of them all for me, the cheese slicing test. I've never made cheese that could be used with the cheese slicer before, until now. Look at that. Mmm. Yeah. Excellent. That is brown cheese. And I am really, really happy with it. So, I think that would be very nice with the waffle and the jam. So we'll just plate up and then have some cleaning to do. Pardon the geese in the background. They're very loud. That's actually not a goose, that's a digger. A bit of jam. Whoop, Oh, crisp waffle. Very crisp waffle. So, a few slices of brown cheese. Oh, this is satisfying. And for those of you unlearned people who don't know what that is the best implement of all time. A cheese slicer. Oh, little mouse. I just went under the trees. As you can see, you get a perfect serving of cheese for your sandwich or waffle or whatever other carb you want your cheese on, or just as a snack. And it's great. See, this waffle was a bit light on the underneath, but anyway, here we go. That is bloody brilliant. So good. Really happy about that. And whether it's worth the effort, I don't know. I don't know if brown cheese is not everyone's cup of tea. Looking at you, Robin. But if you think you like it, or if you want to try it, by all means, especially if you're not in Norway, making it yourself is about the only way you can get it. This was really, really good. The brown cheese is really nice, especially with the jam and the waffle. And yeah, really happy how both cheeses turned out. If you got goat's milk, I definitely recommend trying to make the creamy one, the first one that we made. Whether you want to make brown cheese, whether brown cheese is your cup of tea, I don't know, you have to try for yourself. But if you do, let me know what you think. And another thing we learned in this episode is that I'll probably not get promoted to head waffle maker in the Ringers household. I think Mum will keep that position fairly safely. But yeah, if you try any of these, let me know what you think. And if you have any ideas for the upcoming letters, please post them in the comments. If you like what you see, hit subscribe, like, share, whatever you can spare. It means a lot. And as always, thanks a lot for watching.